Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh by Shem Yahshai by Shem Rakakwatah. Shalom to the 144,000 rest elect out there. Shalom to you all. I'm just going to do a video on this here. This is a live debate, Captain Tazaryach versus Adam King, live on Jake Shield podcast. By the way, Jake Shield, if you know anything about him, the name, he was a UFC fighter. We talking 8-10 years ago. He's retired. He has his own podcast. And what he believes, based upon Captain Tazaryach, is he's an Edomite. I don't think he's any. I don't believe Jake Shields. If Jake Shields is listening, I believe you're one of us. He was a champion UFC fighter. He won championships in MMA events. Top ranked, champion fighter. But I believe he's a Jake. I believe he's definitely a Jake, in my humble opinion. Anyway, I just did a video that was an hour and 24 minutes, almost an hour and a half long, and the spirit was, it was on Revelation chapter 13. I went through the whole breakdown, and I went into a lot of things, and I go to check it, and the sound doesn't come up because I had to reboot my computer. And the mic system, you gotta reboot the mic system. You gotta go to you have two places. One place where it picks up what's on video and it picks up what you say. So you kind of muting yourself out, so it automatically goes back to off. So here I am. I do the whole thing, almost an hour and a half. And the spirit was definitely on me, but you'll never hear it. And I'll attempt to do it again. And I'm pissed the hell off. So I said, well, let me at least do this. So anyway, let me just go ahead and play this. I'm not going to go long on this. But I'm pissed off. The spirit was flowing. I went into a lot of information. I went into the chat. Chat agreed with everything that we say. Now this guy is supposed to be. Now this guy right here is supposed to be a so-called. Why Captain goes in these debates, I don't know. Because we don't have to prove nothing to Edomite. All we got to do is tell him you're an Edomite, and that's it. Because do you really believe that an Edomite's going to accept that they're going into captivity? Or Jay saying that they're not the Jays? It's not going to happen.
I'm peak white. Yeah. That's good. I'm gonna. So we have peak white and white over here. Peak white is. I just like two. I should have got you a sweater.
I get.
Some Jews.
We are in the battle here. We have the battle of who is the real Jew. The real Jew. You gotta even see it.
Man, guys, I'm about to literally be a live example of every Jewish stereotype, and you're gonna be like, who's the Jew?
Even small hat scholars don't believe that you're the Jew. A lot of them say that you're converts. But some of you are. Let me just say that.
Here's the first Jew moment, right? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol yehi b'dvaro.
Yeah. When you say you the real Jew, right? When you say, you're going to be the stereotypical Jew. You mean, when you say, you're going to be the stereotypical Jew. You mean like all of the normal stereotypes that we have of Jewish people. You embody that?
Have you ever been to Israel?
Yes. But can you answer the question though?
No, I actually don't think that I do. Because
you don't embody that.
Have that conversation.
Oh, we don't have. And just for the
Well, he's long too, right?
Yeah,
We're at the show running.
This is fair use.
Before we get to the show, I brought you a copy. Are we running on the show? Okay, good. So I brought you a copy of my book.
Let me see.
This is actually now for resale. Author's copy. I signed it for you. May the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob guide you in all your journeys.
So this Jewish book is allowed on Amazon, you said, right?
I actually hit #1 on Amazon.
But when Kyrie shared
2 days.
on basketball,
He paid $500,000 and had to go beg some rabbis.
yeah, that's crazy. You see, that's the
Phone right now and called like the Jewish.
That's why you #1 on Amazon. You probably called.
This is what people take out their anger on, like Yossi the falafel guy at the corner. They're like, this poor Jewish random guy who sells falafels on the corner. They're like, he must know the elders of Zion who banned Kyrie's book. He
That's
must
the
know.
only thing that
He must know.
That's crazy how they just like find him and banned him.
Yeah,
They find Kyrie, vilify Kyrie, do everything against Kyrie, but they don't say nothing to Jeff Bezos, who owns Amazon, that let that documentary sit on there since 2015. That's the hypocrisy.
That guy Jeff Bezos controls the media. He has his own little media empire. He's worth like hundreds of billions.
What's Jeff Bezos' race?
He's actually one of Jake's. He's one of Jake's fights. He's one of Jake's fights.
That is true. The majority of Vita are.
No, I would,
Jake.
and this is what,
Larry Ellison, he's on Team King.
and I think it's perfect that y'all are on that side, and this is where Jake gonna have the disclaimer the whole debate. Because I'm gonna look at y'all as the same, and every time I say it, Jake's gonna say, he's not my kind of wife.
What? We're not quite.
That does represent.
We wouldn't marry each other's children to each other. Us peak whites don't. Us peak whites don't.
Would you marry your daughter to a?
I wouldn't marry with you guys anyway either. I like
You're not supposed to.
Exactly.
It's interesting because you're Ashkenazi.
This guy is more like a comedian than anything else. He's not seriously debating. They know they're not the people.
Right?
I am Ashkenazi.
So you can't be an Israelite.
Ashkenazi is one of the sons of Japhet. And descendant of Ashkenazi, they say that they're Ashkenazi because Germany supposed to be was founded by the tribe of Ashkenaz, which was one of the seed of Japhet, which makes them Japhetic. So when you say Ashkenazi, it's because that land that you believe that's where the like I said, the sons of Japhet dwelt in. So you say we are Ashkenazi because we are born from this land, which is currently Germany. But what about Poland? Ukrainian.
Well,
In Genesis, the 10th chapter, Ashkenaz come from Japhet. They don't come from Shem.
so we as Ashkenazi Jews identify with the region that we were exiled to.
Good answer. Good answer. So you're saying they're called Ashkenazis because of the land? Exile. What do you mean by exile? 70 AD? You can't be talking about 70 AD.
So at the time, before even Berlin was a city, there was a kingdom there called Ashkenaz. One of the original 70 kingdoms.
Now he's going to talk about the origin.
Which makes sense. If that, because that proves that the sons of Japhet, which you're not the sons of Japhet, you were exiled, which shows you that you're not the sons of Japhet, but you live in the land of Japhet, formerly Germany, formerly known as not the land of Japhet, but Ashkenaz.
The Talmud actually goes into great detail about King Solomon sending 400 families from the time of Benjamin. The first ever outpost in Ashkenaz.
We can't trust the Talmud.
Why can't you trust the Talmud?
Mitzvah pay, that's where you sucking on the baby penis.
Did you read it in the Talmud, or did you just read
Yeah.
like an actual?
It's in the Talmud. If you were to bring it out, they would shut your video down. Talmud is completely different, opposed to the scriptures. There's a lot of stuff in there.
How they perform it, but mitzvah pay is in the Talmud.
It's called the
You pronounce it however you want. But it does.
Yeah, I don't even have my feet to pay for me, and it's
I believe you.
well, that's not for me to care.
This guy, this so-called is he's what do you call it? Projecting and distracting.
I'll tell you one thing. Like sometimes it's crazy because like I'll like seriously drop a truth bomb on people and be like, I don't believe you. You must have been your
When you grow up, what type of Judaism was it? Messianic, non-Messianic, Orthodox, unorthodox? How did you grow up?
So I grew up as probably assimilated as possible.
No. I'm not talking about like once you got older. I'm talking about when you were born. Your family were they Orthodox?
I'll give you my background. So I'm the 5th generation Jew on both sides of my family from Los Angeles, which is literally unheard of. In the Bible, God says He's going to exile you to the 4 corners of the land.
That's not you guys though. We're not on that. I just want to know.
Oh yeah, he shouldn't have said that, because the 4 corners of the land or the earth is north, south, east, and west. East, west, north, south. However you want to line it up. That means you had to have small hats in America. Christopher Columbus never encountered small Europeans, so-called Europeans. Canada, the U.S., which is now called the U.S., America, Central and South America, the people that he encountered and eventually conquered, British conquered the 13 colonies, which is the east coast of America. The British colonized, which is called Canada, and Spain colonized those islands south of the United States, Central America, Mexico, Argentina, Chile, all these different places. That's why they speak Spanish, and the religion that they practice in Central and South America is Roman Catholicism. When someone conquers you, you have to speak their language, you have to learn their ways, and you have to accept their God. So my question would be, if that's a fulfillment of prophecy, where were people like you in the Americas? You were not here, because it had been recorded in the book, in the history books.
No, like they literally went to London, South Africa,
You did not.
Sydney, Australia, Los Angeles.
What about America? What about America? What about America? The Americas.
It's very interesting. No, I'm telling you, I'm from Los Angeles.
Is us. So
Well, you might have gone to Los Angeles also.
Russia. So, for example, when you talk about Russia, you can get a book called The Russian Icons. You see the images of the Israelites there. They're black. When you talk about Europe and what they call the Dark Ages, you can see what black people ruled Europe. When you talk about Africa, you can see our transition to Africa.
In my opinion, no.
This is why I say y'all the same white. That's why
He was
you called for help. Like you called on. This is what Jewish people do. What you just did is what Jewish people do when they ask Trump for help in the war. You couldn't be in the debate, so you ran to your daddy. That's what you. That's what you.
the only time blacks ever.
No. I'm just glad that I'm
Actually, let me answer you like a scholar would, okay?
I wasn't answering your question.
The only time that I know if blacks had any sort of rulership in Europe were the Moors of Spain.
Why did they call them swarthy? Why did they call them
Swarthy.
This is to me. All of a sudden, why does that show on Netflix?
Black.
Yeah.
Why did they call
what's it called?
black?
It's like up there.
Why did they call it?
This guy's talking over Captain Tazaryach. He's looking at this guy. He's throwing out little phrases here and there. He's like he's scared.
Black boy. Why did Ben Franklin say we don't want America to be black like Europe was? They make these statements because that's what Benjamin Franklin made this statement.
Yeah, because Jake at one time took over Europe, took over the Roman Empire. They don't even understand that. Started in 96 AD. I keep saying that. The emperors were black from 96 all the way up until the time of Columbus. Yeah, they were Jake that ruled.
Is what?
That we don't want America to be black like Europe. That's what they said.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're telling me the time of Napoleon Bonaparte, Europe was like black?
Yes, when we say black, like
Yeah, black and white. But Jake was in higher positions. There you had a point in history called the medieval time, or the Dark Ages, which spanned about 500 years, actually 1,000 years. From, they'll say from 500 AD to almost 1500. I'm sorry. They said five you got to go into, matter of fact, you know what? Let me go into that. Was it 500? It was 500 years. They say from about 500 AD to a thousand, which was a lie. The Dark Ages really span close to 1,500 years. So you had Edomites living among them, but we were the top. Like you got Esau runs this place, but you got other nations here too.
you see, like America is predominantly white, but there's other ethnicities, of course.
Okay.
So I'm not saying there's no white people there, there's no other type of people, but we were ruling. It's just
All this culture, Oktoberfest, all this, the various cultures, Scotland, the Scots, the way they dressed, the way they ate, their ethnic foods and so forth, they came from Jake. They got it from Jake, Israelites. And the Moors, which were Israelites.
You're saying during
yeah, like so, like when right,
Benjamin Franklin, though, right?
yeah, Benjamin Franklin.
So Benjamin Franklin was a contemporary, roughly, of Napoleon Bonaparte, right?
Okay.
So, but Napoleon Bonaparte lived it even before. So the question that I have to you, during the time of Napoleon Bonaparte, you're saying that black people were ruling in
Yeah,
Europe.
black people were in power.
In Europe.
Just like you can have,
What's that show called?
as America as a country had what's called a black president for a time, even though white
Who was
people-
our first black president? What's
Let me say it differently. After African American,
Obama's
African
Jewish?
president. No, Obama is African, so I wouldn't say black.
He's-
Because
okay.
we're not African.
Who was the first black?
We're different.
General.
Who was
Definition of black president.
You said there was a first,
yeah,
a secret
yeah.
black president.
How do you see?
No, I'm asking.
That's what I'm trying to
I want you to define it because I'm
Black
fascinated.
sounds good for you guys, but for us to be ethnically correct,
Yeah.
Obama has an African father and a white mother. So for us, he's not one of our people.
Right. You know, I agree with you there. I don't like the term black or white. I think like it's completely ethnically incorrect, and like the world is so much more diverse.
I don't like the term Jewish.
Well, two are colors and one is an ethnicity. So
Jewish is not an ethnicity.
how about like Judah? Judah.
Wait, Jewish is not an ethnicity.
Judah is a male Jew.
I didn't say Judah. I said Judah.
Jewish is Judish.
Jewish is religion. Because in Jewish, you're an Israelite by your mother. Ethnically, you're an Israelite by your father. That's why y'all won't do the DNA test. Because if y'all start doing the DNA test, you're going to see a lot of y'all are not the Jews. We are the Jews.
I don't do
That's
it.
why I said
I'll tell you, I personally don't do the DNA test.
Because you don't
have my genetics. But my parents took the
That is
DNA
not what.
test.
Wait, but that is.
I can tell you about my parents.
That's not what Israel says.
Hold up. In my parents' DNA test, my mother says 100% Ashkenazi Jew. It's unbelievable.
Let's say she's a real Jew. That you're a Jew. You're a Judite based upon your father. In the Talmud, it's based upon your mother. Your mother has to be Jew. If your father's Jewish, Adolf Gerber, Adolf Hitler, father's mother, or Adolf Hitler's father would have to be a Jew. Which, if anything, makes Hitler half a Jew. You're a Jew based on your mother, according to them. Alois, what was his name? Schickelgerber. I believe her name was Maria, and it was one of the Solomon Rothschild. That's what the legend says, you know. But she had a son, which is the father of Adolf Hitler. So Adolf Hitler's, you can look it up. Adolf Hitler's father's mother was a Jew, so that makes him a Jew. So that makes, according to what you believe in, that makes Hitler half a Jew. Makes him a Jew, make him Jewish.
Well, they have an genetic marker, and my mother's a Bas Kohen, which means that she's an Ashkenazi Jew from the tribe of descendant of Aaron the priest. My grandfather.
That don't even make sense.
It does.
No, it doesn't. How can you?
It doesn't because we do it.
How can you be Ashkenaz and Shemitic?
I'll tell you.
Ashkenaz is a Japhetic tribe.
It's like.
So think about what you.
I'll tell you.
Before you say. Think about what you're saying. When you're talking about DNA, you're talking about genetic markers.
Yeah.
So if you marry the DNA of the science with the genetic markers, excuse me, with the Bible, when the Lord divided the nations in Genesis 10 and 32.
The 70 nations.
When the Lord divided the nations.
Yes, there's the kingdom of Ashkenaz.
When you talk, I know you're trying to distract. So
that's all he's doing is distracting. He doesn't want to deal. He wants to talk over Captain Tazaryach. The cat is out the proverbial bag.
When the Lord divided the nations in Genesis 10 and 32, the Japhetic line had their own lines. They would have their own genetic markers. Shemitic line have their own lines. They would have their own genetic markers. So if you take a DNA test that says you go back to Ashkenaz, that's a different family line than the family line that the Israelites come from. So you can't be from the family line of Shem and the family line of Japheth genetically if you believe in the Bible, because the Lord divided them.
Can I tell you this? Can I respond? So I'm not descended at all from Japheth.
You said your mama is.
No, hold on, listen to me. I'll explain. My line of Ashkenaz, my claim of Ashkenazi is like the same of how I say I'm an American Jew.
Good, you can claim anything. You have the right to claim. You can claim that you're a Jew. It's a matter whether you are a Jew. Anybody can claim that they're an Israelite. Vocab Malone, John Mark Reiser. Anybody can claim that they're an Israelite. So you can't come up to me and say, well, you're not an Israelite. These people are, no. Because remember, they were scattered. They were mingled among the Gentiles, the other nations. We look like everybody on the planet Earth. Speckled bird. So anybody, including him, he can put in a claim. That's why he used the word claim. He can put in a claim that he's an Israelite. He may be.
Like I put America.
If his line goes back, if his father's, if he descends from one of the sons of Jacob.
Was the kingdom that I'm living in at before, and as a Jewish person, so it's like being an American Jew. But in the time that at the time that the Ashkenazi Jewish community was established, the very first Ashkenazi Jewish community was established by King Solomon as an embassy outpost. And he had 400 families from the tribe of Benjamin go there. And actually,
that's not in the Bible, so that's history, Talmud, whatever. But that could be true. They could be Benjaminites that laid their seed. If you happen to be, if that's the case, and you happen to descend from one of those 400 families or men, then you can be an Israelite that looks like a small hat. So I can't tell you you're not a Jew, but you can't tell me I'm not a Jew, an Israelite. And time will tell. In the near future.
Berlin is a Jewish city. It was founded by Jews 1,800 years ago.
I think you're missing what you said out
But what nation were they when they came over there? Were they Edomites? White people? Remember, there was a mixture. So here you going back almost 2,000 years ago. Let me see. Let me do this. Let me go right over here. I'm sorry. Let me go to Numbers 1. And this kills this kills this BS about you're a Jew based upon what your mother is, not what your father is. That's not scriptural. If they're familiar with what is it? First Chronicles and Second Chronicles, it goes by your father's 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 line. They assembled. Who assembled themselves? The Israelites. Numbers 1:17, and Moses and Aaron took these men, which are expressed by their names, and they assembled all the congregation together, the Israelites, on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their fathers, not their mothers, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward, by their polls. It goes on to say, as Yahweh, not Yahushua, Yahweh commanded Moses, so he numbered them in the wilderness of Sinai. He was getting them in order. He was giving them the laws. And the children of Reuben, Israel's eldest son, by their generations, after their families, according to the men, by the house of their what? Of their fathers, according to the number of the names of their polls, every male from 20 years old and upward, all that were able to go forth to war. Now you got Genesis that teaches that an Israelite, a man doesn't become a man until he's 20 years old. That's nowhere in the scriptures. A man becomes a man when he's 12 years old. What makes you what's the difference between a child and a man is a thing called puberty. So when you go out to war at 20 years old, you've been a man for 8 years. Because these guys, these two clowns say, oh, if you're 19 years old, you're a little one. They don't know the scriptures. Let's come on back. I'm getting ready to go. Let me see here. Where are we? Okay, let's listen to a little bit more.
Listen, before Germany was even a nation or a conception, there was once something called the Kingdom of Ashkenaz. Now, when the Romans destroyed us and carried us into captivity, the Kingdom of Ashkenaz was still...
They had to be Jakes. Because you guys say that you're direct descendants of the slaves in Egypt, Mizraim. Which when you go to the slaves in Egypt, matter of fact, I'm not going to say it, I'm going to show you. The Hebrew slaves of Egypt. Let's go to the images. Let's go to images. We got it right there. The Hebrew slaves of Egypt. Look at that. These are the Hebrew slaves of Egypt. Hebrew slaves of the Hebrews enslaved by the Egyptians. The Israelites do in Egypt. This is modern, okay? Look at this, right there. Signs of the Israelites' slavery in Egypt. This is right here. Let me open this up. Look at that. People, brown people. Brown people. The old saying is the picture speaks 1,000 words. These are old, how do you call it, wall releases? Mosaics, you can call them. Slavery, ancient Egypt. Let me open this up. These are Israelites. Israelites. What we know about slaves in Egypt. These are, look at that, Afro, straight up Afro. This is an older gentleman. Look at that, the Afros. These are either Okay, now these could be Canaanites, Egyptians, but you can see that they were black. Moses passed for an Egyptian. He was the daughter of Pharaoh said that she gave birth to this child. She was black, so Moses had to be black. Women, Israelite women, dancing each. Now these could have been Egyptians. The Egyptians look just like the Israelites, people of color. The odd guy out are the Edomites. All right, let me come on back. I'm getting ready to get out of here.
Still a thing.
But what you're doing now is you're spinning from what you said. You did all that history and word salad. But you said when your mom...
Oh, wait a minute. Words. Where'd you get that from, Captain Tazaryach? We've been using that word. I think you got it from us. I could be wrong. But we use that word here in GMS. Word salad.
When your mom took a DNA test, so now you got into genetics. Genetics is not that migration. So when you say Ashkenaz, and then we look in the Bible in Genesis, the 10th chapter, and Ashkenaz come from Japheth. You can't have Japhetic DNA and Shemitic DNA. There's got to be one or the other.
I'll tell you, it's kind of like this Tartarian thing.
Wait, before you say that, so like when black people go get their DNA, if their DNA traces, for the most part, it'll say they came from like...
DNA will trace your mother and your father's side. That's why if a dark-skinned black Jake gets with a white woman, pasty white woman, Scandinavian white woman, the children are going to come out with features of the mother and the father. They'll be a lot lighter than the father, and maybe a little bit darker than the mother. Might have a straight nose. That's your DNA. It has nothing to do with seed. Seed is determined by your father. You are what your soul that's in you is the soul of an Israelite.
West coast of Africa or something like that. Then they got like E1, B1 markers. You got L markers and stuff like that. So there's genetic markers that they say make up white people. Genetic markers that they say make up black people.
Well, Esau would be close to us. As far as genetic markers are concerned, they will be close to us because they're Hebrews. They're the closest people. Edomites are the closest people to an Israelite as far as genetics is concerned. As far as genetic markers are concerned, so they're close to us.
People, Chinese people,
We're gonna.
Hey man, we gotta
rest these conversations. Yeah, give a buck for your podcast. We're about to go live. Watch it. It's out next week.
About to beat the shit out of this.
Nobody's beating the shit because it's has to be on camp.
Okay, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they cut it. Anyways, I'm going to say shalom.